The 90s thriller The Devil's Advocate had everything going for it. A charismatic lead, a career best villain performance, and one of the most chilling pieces of casting in Hollywood history. And then, in the final act, it completely loses the plot. Released in 1997 and directed by Taylor Hackford, The Devil's Advocate is based on a 1990 novel of the same name by Andrew Neiderman, though the film takes some pretty significant creative liberties with the source material. The story follows Kevin Lomax, a hotshot defense attorney from Florida who has never lost a case. He gets recruited to a slick, powerful New York law firm run by the mysterious John Milton. Kevin's wife, Marianne, makes a move with him, and things start unraveling pretty quickly. The firm is too perfect, the money's too good, and John Milton, let's just say the name is not a coincidence. It's a direct nod to the author of Paradise Lost, which is essentially a story about the devil. And this is a microcosm of why the film doesn't end up working well, as this film is not subtle at all. Let's start with Keanu Reeves. He gets a lot of stick, sometimes fairly, sometimes not. But here, I think he's genuinely well cast. In 1997, Reeves was already a star, but by no means taken seriously as a serious actor. He'd been in some good films like My Own Private Idaho, but he'd also been nominated for 4 Razzies in the year leading up to this film. His character, Kevin Lomax, needed to be someone you believed is talented but oblivious. Someone climbing the ladder so fast he can't see what's at the top of it. And Keanu has that quality, a kind of open, slightly vacant earnestness that works perfectly for a man who thinks he's winning when he's actually being played. You look at his face and you think, yeah, this guy has no idea, and I don't mean that as an insult. Charlize Theron as Marianne has an arguably harder job. Her character arc goes from proud, supportive wife to genuinely disturbed. She starts seeing things unravelling psychologically in ways that are deeply unsettling to watch. Theron commits to it completely, and the film puts her through the ringer and she carries those scenes with real vulnerability. Originally, Taylor Hackford said she was too pretty for the role, but after making her audition 3 times, she got the part, and I think he made the right decision. And then there's Al Pacino. Look, I don't know how you direct Al Pacino playing the literal devil and tell him to tone it down, but honestly I'm not sure you should. Pacino is having the time of his life in this role. Every scene he's in, he owns it. He's giving these long, winding monologues, the kind that go on just long enough to make you slightly uncomfortable, and he's riffing. The subway scene is a brilliant example of where Al Pacino just steals the show. You can feel him enjoying the power of the character. There's this thing he does throughout the film, this slow, deliberate tongue movement, and every time it appears on screen I felt genuinely uneasy. It's such a small, specific choice, and it lands every time. Kevin Lomax might be the protagonist, but John Milton is a gravitational centre. Every scene without Pacino feels like you're waiting for him to come back. Here's what I want to give The Devil's Advocate credit for, because it deserves some. In its first 2 acts, the film walks a brilliant line between reality and supernatural horror. The hints are everywhere, and they're earned. John Milton seems to be in 2 places at once. He knows things he shouldn't. Minor characters react to him strangely. And of course, as I mentioned before, there's the name John Milton, the writer of Paradise Lost, the man who wrote the most famous literary portrayal of the devil. If you catch that early, it recontextualises everything. If you don't catch it, the film still works as a psychological thriller. At its core, this is a story about how evil operates in the real world, not through horns and fire, but through ambition, through telling people what they want to hear, through making the compromise feel reasonable. That is a genuinely interesting, timeless idea, and for about 90 minutes the film explores it with real intelligence. And then the third act happens. I won't spoil every detail, but the restraint goes out the window. We go from grounded psychological unease to full-on visual spectacle. Al Pacino in front of fire, morphing faces, a monologue that's so on the nose it practically comes with a PowerPoint presentation. After 2 acts of carefully earned tension, the film essentially turns to camera and says, in case you hadn't worked it out, he's the devil. And we had worked it out, that was the point. And this matters more because the film is 2 hours and 20 something minutes long, and that's a real commitment. When you ask an audience for that much time, the ending needs to pay off with the same sophistication you promised them at the start. I actually had an interesting conversation with someone at work about this film. His take was pretty blunt. He said, the film has no point, and I've been thinking about that since. His argument was based on the ending. The final moments of the film essentially reset the story. Kevin gets a second chance to make a different choice. He takes it, and then immediately he's offered another temptation, and falls for it again. The devil in a different form pops up to remind us, temptation never stops, it just changes its face. My colleague's read was that this makes the whole film circular, and therefore meaningless. And I do get it, I see what he means, but I'm not sure I fully agree. I think the film is making a point about the nature of temptation, that resisting one form of it doesn't make you immune, that the devil isn't a figure you defeat once, he's a pattern you have to keep resisting forever, which is kind of bleak, but also kind of true. Where I do agree with my colleague is that if that's the message, the film needed to earn it more carefully. So where does that leave us with The Devil's Advocate? It's a film I genuinely wanted to love, and for most of its runtime I was close. Pacino is extraordinary and the concept is rich. The first two acts make a compelling case, but the third act fumbles it, and for a film asking you to invest nearly 2.5 hours, that was really frustrating. Is it worth watching? Absolutely yes, if only for Pacino alone. Is it a masterpiece? No. It's a great film that makes bad choices in the home stretch, but I want to know what you think. Do you think The Devil's Advocate sticks the landing? And what's your read on that ending? Is it a clever statement about the nature of temptation, or is my colleague right? Does the whole thing collapse under its own weight? And if you've got a film you want me to dig into next, something that almost got away with being a classic, let me know in the comments below.